My name is Joy. My student number is S0441015, and I'm a freshman. I'm going to deliver a speech, a book carrying 500 refugees sent at sea, the story of two survivors. Every day, I listen to harrowing stories of people fleeing for their life across dangerous borders and unfriendly seas. But there's one story that keeps me awake at night, and it's about Doa, a Syrian refugee, 19 years old. She was living a grinding existence in Egypt working their wages. Her dad was constantly thinking of his thriving business back in Syria that had been blown to pieces by a bomb, and the war that drove them there was still raging in its fourth year. And the community that once welcomed them there had become wary of them, and one day men on motorcycles tried to kidnap her. Once an aspiring student, thinking only of her future, now she was scared all the time. But she was also full of hope, because she was in love with a fellow Syrian refugee named Bassem. Bassem was also struggling in Egypt, and he said to Doa, "Let's go to Europe. Seek asylum, safety. I will work, and you can study." The promise of a new life, and he asked her father for her hand in marriage. But they knew to get to Europe they had to risk their life, traveling across the Mediterranean Sea, putting their head in smugglers, notorious for their cruelty. And Doa was terrified of the water. She always had been. She never learned to swim. It was August that year, and already 2,000 people had died trying to cross the Mediterranean. But Doa knew of a friend who had made it all the way to northern Europe, and she thought, maybe we can too. So he asked her parents if they could go, and after a painful discussion, they consented, and Bassem paid his entire life savings, $2,500 each, to the smugglers. It was a Saturday morning when the call came, and they were taken by a bus to the beach. Hundreds of people on the beach. They were taken down by small boat onto an old fish boat. 500 of them climbed onto the boat. 3,000 below, 500 above. There was Syrian, Palestinian, African, Muslim, and Christian. 100 children, including Sandra, little Sandra, 6 years old, and Masa, 18 months. There were families on the boat, crammed together, shoulder to shoulder, feet to feet. Doa was sitting with her leg craned up to her chest, Bassem holding her head. They two on the water. They were sick with worry and sick to her stomach from the rough sea. Day 3. Doa had a premonition, and he said to Bassem, "I feel we are going to make it. I feel the boat is going to sink." And Bassem said to her, "Please be patient. We will make it to Sweden, and we'll get married, and we will have a future." Therefore, the passengers were getting agitated. They asked the captain, "When will we get there?" He told them to shut up, and he insulted them. He said, "In 60 hours we will reach the shore of Italy." They were weak and weary. Soon they saw a boat approach, a smaller boat, 10 men on board, who started shouting and then hurrying inshore, throwing sticks, asking them to disembark and get on this smaller, more unseaworthy boat. The parents were terrified for their children. They collectively refused to disembark. So the boat sped away in anger, and a half of an hour later, came back and started deliberately ramming a hole in the side of Dora's bowl, just below where she and Benson were sitting, and she heard how they yelled, "Let the fish eat your flesh," and they started laughing as the boat capsized and sank. The 300 people below that were done. Dora was holding onto the side of the boat as it sank, and watched in horror as a small child was cut into pieces by the propeller. Benson said to her, "Please let go, or you will be swept in and the propeller will kill you too. And remember, she can't swim." But she let go and she started moving her arm and her leg, thinking, "It is swimming," and miraculously, Benson found a life ring. It was one of 12 rings they had used to play in swimming pool and on calm sea, and Dora climbed onto the ring, her arm and her leg dangling by the side. Benson was a good swimmer, so he held her head and drank water. Around them there were groups. Around 100 people survived initially, and they started coming together in groups, praying for rescue. But when a day went by and no one came, some people gave up hope, and Dora and Benson watched as men in the distance put their life vests off and sank into the water. One man approached them with a small baby perched on his shoulder, 9 months old, Malik. He was holding onto a gas canister to stay afloat, and he said to them, "I fear I'm not going to survive. I'm too weak. I don't have the courage anymore." And he handed little Malik over Benson and to Dora, and they perched her onto the life ring. So now there were 3, Dora, Benson, and little Malik. And let me take a pause in the story right here and ask the question, why do refugees like Dora take this kind of risk? Millions of refugees are living in exile, in limbo. They are living in country from a war that has been raging for 4 years. Even if they wanted to return, they can't. Their home, their business, their town and their city have been completely destroyed. This is a UNESCO World Heritage City, Homs, in Syria. So people continue to flee into neighboring countries. And when build refugee camps for them in the desert. Hundreds of thousands of people live in camps like this, and thousands more, millions, live in town and city. And the community, the neighboring countries that once welcomed them with open arms and hearts are overwhelmed. There are simply not enough schools, water systems, sanitation. Even rich European countries could never handle such an influx without massive investment. And Syrian war has driven almost 4 million people over the border. And over 7 million people are on the run inside the country. This means that over half the Syrian population has been forced to flee. Back to those neighboring countries hosting so many. They feel that the richer world has done too little to support them, and death has turned to mountain into years. A refugee state is supposed to be temporary. Back to Dora and Benson in the water. It was their second day, and Benson was getting very weak, and now it was Dora's turn to say to Benson, "My love, please hold on to hope, to our future. We will make it." And he said to her, "I'm sorry, my love, that I would put you in this situation. I had never loved anyone as much as I love you." And he released himself into the water, and Dora watched as the lot of her life drowned before her eyes. Later that day, a mother came to Dora with her small 18-month-old daughter, Martha. This was the little girl I showed you in the picture earlier, with the life vest. Her older sister Sandra had just drowned, and her mother knew he had to do everything in her power to save her daughter. And he said to Dora, "Please take this child. Let her be part of you. I will not survive." And then he went away and drowned. So Dora, the 90-year-old refugee, who was terrified of the water, who couldn't swim, found herself in charge of two little baby kids. And they were dirty, and they were hungry, and they were agitated. And she tried her best to amuse them, to sing to them, to say words to them from the current. Around them, the bodies were floating and turning black. The sun was blazing during the day. At night there was a cold moon and fog. It was very frightening. On the floor there in the water. This is how Dora probably stood on the ring with her two children. A woman came on the floor there and approached her and asked her to take another child, a little boy just 4 years old. When Dora took the little boy and the mother drowned, he said to the sobbing child, "She just went away to find you water and food." And his heart soon stopped, and Dora had to release the little boy into the water. Later that day, she looked up into the sky with hope, because she saw two planes crossing in the sky, and she wept and hid her arm, hoping they would see her, but the planes were soon gone. But that afternoon, as the sun was going down, she saw a boat, a merchant vessel, and she said, "Please God, let them rescue me." And she waved her arm, and she felt like she should for about 2 hours, and it had become dark, and finally the searchlight found her, and they extended a rope, astonished to see a woman climbing onto two babies. They pulled them onto the boat, they got oxygen and blanket, and a Greek helicopter came to pick them up and take them to the island of Crete. But Dora looked down and said, What of Malek?" And they told her the little baby did not survive. She drew her last breath in her boat's cleaning, and Dora was sure that as they had been pulled up onto the rescue boat, the little baby girl had been smiling. Only 11 people survived the wreck. Of the 500, there was never an international investigation into what happened. There was some media report about mass murder at sea, a terrible tragedy, but that was only for one day, and then the news cycle moved on. Meanwhile, in the pediatric hospital on Crete, little Martha was on edge of death. She was really dehydrated. Her kidneys were falling. Her glucose level was dangerously low. The doctor did everything in her medical power to save them, and the green nurse never left her side, holding her, hugging her, saying her word. My colleague also visited and said pretty words to her in Arabic. Amazingly, little Martha survived. And soon the great press started reporting about the miracle baby who had survived for days in the water without food or anything to drink. And offers to adopt her came from all over the country. And meanwhile, Dora was in other hospitals on Crete, dehydrated. An Egyptian family took her into their home as soon as they was released, and soon word went around about Dora's survival, and a phone number was published on Facebook. Messages started coming in. "Dora, do you know what happened to my brother, my sister, my parents, my friend? Do you know if they survived?" One of those messages said, "I believe you saved my little niece, Masa," and it had this photo. This was from Masa's uncle, a Syrian refugee who had made it to Sweden with his family, and also Masa's older sister. Soon, we hope, Masa will reunite with him in Sweden, and until then, she's being cared for in a beautiful orphanage in Eden. And Dora, well, word went around about her survival too, and the media wrote about this silent, slight woman, and couldn't imagine how he could survive all this time under such conditions in that sea, and still save another life. The Academy of Eden, one of Greece's most prestigious institutions, gave her an award of bravery, and she deserved all the praise, and she deserved a second chance. But she wants to still go to Sweden. She wants to reunite with her family there. She wants to bring her mother and her father and her younger sibling away from Egypt there as well, and I believe she will succeed. She wants to become a lawyer or a politician or something that can help fight injustice. She is an extraordinary survivor, but I had to ask, what if she didn't have to take that risk? Why did she have to go through all that? Why wasn't there a legal way for her to study in Europe? Why couldn't Masa have taken an airplane to Sweden? Why couldn't Basson have found work? Why is there no massive resettlement program for Syrian refugees, the victims of the worst war of our time? The war delays for the Vietnamese in the 1970s. Why not now? Why is there so little investment in the neighboring country hosting so many refugees? And why? The real question. Is so little being done to stop the war? The persecution and the poverty is driving so many people to the shore of Europe. Until these issues are resolved, people will continue to take to sea and seek safety and asylum. And what happens next? Well, it is Europe's choice. And I understand the public fear. People are worried about their security, their economy, the charge of culture. But is that more important than saving human life? Because there is something fundamental here that I think overrides the rest. And it is about our common humanity. No person fleeing war or persecution should have to die crossing a sea to reach safety. One thing is for sure, that no refugee would be on those dangerous boats if they could drive where they are. And no migrant would take the dangerous journey if they had enough food for themselves and their children. And no one would put their life saving in the head of those notorious smugglers if there was a legal way to migrate. So on behalf of the little Masa and on behalf of Dora and of Basson, and of those 500 people who drowned with them, can we make sure that they did not die in vain? Could we be inspired by what happened and take a stand for a world in which every life matters? Thank you.